Good. Just sad news during the week for the Wildcats family. I know you probably had no real interaction with Jack, but how has it been taken by the boys who would have had some involvement with him over the time?
Yeah, no, I never met him or obviously never worked for him. But by all accounts, sounds like he was made a big impact on a lot of people's lives, not just those involved with the team. So I think there's been a few stories shared and stuff like that amongst the guys who've been around. But not to take anything away from myself, and a number of us obviously didn't know him very well, so I can't partake. But still respect everything that he did and everything that I've read about him. Certainly made a big difference in a lot of people's lives, like I said, which is kind of all you can hope for as a person.
Can I ask about Michael Fraser and just what you've done maybe with him this week, spoken to him, where you at with him to try and get the best out of him?
Just encouraging him to stay positive and focus on what he can control and not what he can't control. Spoke to him today about staying aggressive and attacking the basket. I think he's at his best when he gets into the paint and makes decisions when he draws help, or if he doesn't draw help, to finish. Be ready to shoot it, but also stay aggressive and attack when you catch it. So I know there's a lot of pressure on him and everyone's asking about him, and that makes it even harder. He has to kind of just put all that aside and resist the noise and just play basketball.
In saying that, can I ask the question, are you going to back him in for the rest of the season?
I don't know what back him in means.
He's obviously going to play out the rest of the season. You haven't got any concerns there? I mean, there are history in the NBL of players, but yeah, just backing him into, you'll get the best out of him at some stage.
Well, as of now, we are, and like I said, I can only control what I can control too. So right now we have a roster ready for tomorrow night, and I'm going to do my best with the roster that we have. And those kind of, I guess, discussions are out of my pay grade. But I would say that I expect to have him around the whole year. But I also would say that I don't think anyone should be safe, including the coaches.
Yeah, so just on that, so do you have to reassure him in any way? Because it would be a nerve-wracking time when everyone's talking about you and you do have internal concerns in your own head about how things are going. Do you need to speak to Michael and say, this is our plan for you at the moment, to make him realise that he is wanted or needed and stuff like that?
I mean, everyone's been pretty positive around the team. I think that stuff is talked about more in this setting than it is definitely in the locker room. And I think it's the same as any other league or sport. I know in the NBA, when trade deadline season is around the corner, there's always a couple guys in every team that are being mentioned in rumors, and 99 times out of 100, those rumors aren't true, or they don't come to fruition. So I think as a pro, you just get used to that stuff around you, and you try to block it out and focus on what you do best, which is playing basketball. And I think that I don't think that kind of talk is affecting Mike. I think he's the kind of person that has the most pressure on himself from internal sources. He wants to do well. He's had a lot of success in the past, and he has a lot of pride and works really hard. So I think he probably puts the most pressure on himself. So part of it is just trying to get him to loosen up and play and not worry about everything.
So should we expect to see him starting again tomorrow, or are you happy with the starting line that you chucked out there last week?
Well, I wouldn't say happy because we lost, but I kind of like Mike coming off the bench just because then we can try to get him some extra touches when Bryce and Vic go out for their break. He can come in and defend the other team's best player when Mitch Norton's out. So there's a lot of benefits to bringing him off the bench. It wasn't because of this other stuff that we're talking about that I decided to do that. I just spoke to him, and he was open to the idea. And I think he's smart enough to know that it's not about who starts. It's about who's on there for the crunch time.
Will you have Todd Blanchfield available tomorrow?
Yeah, we're expecting to have Todd play. He practiced yesterday, so that'll be a nice boost for us and provide a little bit of floor spacing that we were lacking the last game or two without him.
It's a while since you've had back-to-backs. Do you have to change anything at all now that you've got 2 games in a weekend instead of 1, where you've been able to just go hell for leather in that game?
No, I mean, I guess, yeah, you could consider injury threat as a possible concern, but, we always have 2 or 3 hard practices during the week anyway, where, the injury threat is there too, but you have to practice, you have to compete and get after it. So we try to balance the line as best we can. But personally, I'm looking forward to the quick turnaround between games coming up this next little stretch, because it's been a long weeks getting ready, and you can only practice so much, you can only watch so much film, and then you're just kind of waiting and overthinking things. So I'm excited for the quick turnarounds. Well, the sarcastic jackass answer would be to score more points than Southeast. Easier said than done, of course. We had a good success against them last time. I'm sure they'll make some adjustments to their game plan, and we'll have to attack and adjust accordingly on our front. So, I think the guys know the games are important. They know you can't drop too many in a row in this league and still compete for the top spots. I think we have, I want to say 6 road games left. Right now we're 4-4, and we definitely have a goal of being over 500 at the end of that. So we got to, clean things up and try to make the most of our opportunities. We may play well and lose, but we definitely have to get things going in the right track in terms of our momentum and our progress.
Craig mentioned, like, you got back-to-backs this weekend. Are these sort of danger weekends in that in the blink of an eye, 2 games can be gone?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it both ways. In the blink of an eye, we could win 2 straight and all of our problems will be over. I think, one of the coaches I used to work for always said, you're never as bad as you think you are, and you're never as good as you think you are. And losing 2 games is daunting, but we're not as bad as it feels. And when we were 8-3 or wherever we were sitting up top, we weren't as good as we maybe felt either. There's always a middle ground, and you got to make sure you stay level and approach each game with the same vigor and preparation and enthusiasm, whether you've won 2 in a row or lost 2 in a row.
You probably haven't heard of Ross Lyon, but that's very much what he used to roll out when things weren't going particularly well at Freo. The uncertainty, Craig had a piece in the paper about the fixtures getting released today. That doesn't seem to be happening now. Where do you go from here with that lack of clarity?
I mean, that's just par for the course for us. There hasn't been too much clarity other than when our next game is. And for a lot of this trip, we didn't even know where that was. So nothing new for us. We know we have 2 games scheduled. I guess we have those last 6 games scheduled. So we know what we're doing or where we're going to be playing, who we're going to be playing. And all we can do is focus on the next opponent, in this case, Southeast. And we don't even have to fly this time. So no excuses other than to be ready to play.
Is there extra, I don't want to say extra incentive, because like I said, every game counts, but they're just above you on the ladder and you've got games in hand, but you're kind of hanging on to 3rd spot at the moment. Does that factor into motivation at all?
It shouldn't. Like you said, every game is big, and the guys know that. I think that the veterans have kind of taken some lead in terms of just, saying that there's no real need to panic when you drop a couple, but at the same time, you can't get complacent and you can't take any game for granted, because you never know which ones you are going to drop. You have to be ready for all of them. There's kind of a target number that I suspect we'll need to get to make the finals. And it's in the back of my head, but, to get that number, to reach our goal, we have to focus on the process. And today that was having a good walkthrough and a good shoot. And then tomorrow is going to be get ready to play and leave it all on the floor.
Are you able to share that number with us?
I mean, I'm just basing it on past. You guys can get on Google and see what the average teams had that make the finals. So I wouldn't say it's a specific number. I just know, I think around 16 to 19 wins will get you in. So we want to try and get there if we can.
And is there obviously great advantage in finishing top 2, especially now that the borders will be open and you get home court advantage? Does that factor into your calculations as well?
I'll be honest. I have a bunch of goals usually each season, but I don't get ahead of myself. So right now, the only goal is to make the finals, and like I said, that requires locking in on each game one at a time. Once we check that off, then we'll try and see if we can get into those top two spots. But I just don't want to be the guy that snaps the streak. So just get us in, and then I don't care where we're playing.
Scott, just with your NBA experience, could the next patch of away games, I think is you got a lot in a few days, could your experience there help out a lot more than the normal sort of NBL coach that is not so much used to a really busy schedule? You've got that experience.
Well, I hope so. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of looking forward to the schedule being a little busier. We'll have a good routine, and unlike the NBA, there's only 10 teams, so you've played these teams relatively recently in most cases. So it's not like you have to, do all your research over again. You can kind of dust off the scout, see what they're doing a little bit different, and everything is pretty fresh in the guys' minds. So I wouldn't say I have an advantage over the other coaches. If anything, I'm just trying to keep up with the other guys, but it's not something I'm worried about, I guess, if that answers your question.
And this little patch has been a difficult one in terms of where the teams that you've played, we sort of think those teams of Melbourne United, the Kings are starting to get a bit of a roll on, and Phoenix are going to be the ones at the end that are going to be fighting for the title. A win here in particular against Phoenix, would that be a nice little message to the comp that we're still there, we're still a championship contender? Does that come into your thoughts at all?
I'm honestly not really. My only thoughts are to try and win, and like I said, get to the finals. When I took the job, I said that I was excited for the kind of the highs and lows of being a head coach that I hadn't experienced in a few years. And I'm not sure that was the right move, because man, there's some nervous times leading up to these games, and there's a lot of time to worry about things. And there's really no nights off either. You can't cheat to get that good feeling. You got to earn it. So yeah, Southeast is up there, Melbourne stuff. All the teams we play are like New Zealand's in last place right now, and I'm terrified to play them because I think they're a really good team and can beat anybody on a given night. So yeah, you gotta be careful what you wish for. But we're in the thick of things now. We gotta push forward and hope that we can get at least one more of the good feelings than the bad after these games.